Goofy governance, anger management and posture police. Today, politicians pompously refusing a state visit banquet, tennis stars getting far too angry, and doctors warning us to stop slouching before our spines give out. Welcome to Mark and Pete, two blokes with half an opinion. Now, here's our first thought.
Goofy governance. Every village has an idiot. Every town has a fickle fool. Every city has a clumsy clown. But it's worrying when they rule. Yes, I think we can all relate to that. Now, isn't it interesting how politicians in particular decide to make decisions when, in actual fact, possibly it could backfire? Now, the Liberal Democrat leader, Sir Ed Davey, has said that he will boycott the banquet for Donald Trump's state visit very soon. Now, his instincts are such that he wishes to decline an invitation from the king, describing this as an honour, but in fact, many things that he has decided is very much targeted to Donald Trump himself. Perhaps Mr. Davey has missed the bigger point. Mr. Pete, I ask you, surely by declining, he's not just snubbing Donald Trump, he's snubbing the United States of America.
Well, Mr. Mark, I think what this is Ed Davey possibly seeing himself as being a little bit more important than he actually is. I mean, who is this guy?
Quite.
I mean, we know who he is because we're, politicians, geeks. We're big fans of Ed Davey on this show. But for many people, I guess he'll be unknown. They might think he's a comedian performing at the pier this summer. That's what he says.
That might be a better profession.
But he writes, "Dear Donald, regretfully I must decline," and doesn't go to what's actually a state banquet. So it's state inviting another state, as in the leader or head of state coming, and so it's just a ridiculous thing to do. Let's offend the United States of America, shall we? Just to bring attention to ourselves. Ridiculous. I mean, I think I'm right in saying, Mr. Mark, that we have not been blessed with the brightest and best of politicians recently. Certainly not in government.
It certainly has been noticeable. I think you may see the mountain of issues that still remain unaddressed. You're right. What's interesting in this particular case is that Ed Davies decided to focus over the issue of Israel and, of course, Gaza. Essentially, what he has said in the media, he has the power, this is being Donald Trump, that he has the power to stop the horrifying starvation and death in Gaza and get the hostages released. Well, strangely enough, Mr. Davey, that is what Donald Trump is trying to do. But it's a very, very complex affair, as we all know. Now, I always say, and maybe this is just my personal view, and, I'm not a leading politician in government, but one thing I always say, taking a principle, not yet, but the one thing I'd say is it's always best to be in the conversation and not in the conversation, meaning there will be times when, albeit that it's a state visit, it's very formal, very well orchestrated. If you've got an issue, why not take that to Donald Trump and actually have the opportunity to speak? If you are ousting, your own party, because basically he represents a political party, folks. So our international leaders will probably know him, but the public may not. And the fact is that, he does represent a political party. This is the Liberal Democrats. Now, they are very much the third largest party at the moment, I would say. How relevant they may be in the future, well, yeah, you can get a sense of what their leader's doing. I think that really by doing this, he's not putting himself just in jeopardy. I think he's putting his entire party there, because even though that many people may have some issues with Donald Trump, you have to remember that a state visit is a representation of a nation. And we know that we, as a United Kingdom, rely on relationships with the United States, and indeed vice versa. It's been long-standing, for many, many years. And there's been good and bad, but overall, they are very much a partner. I think many people would see this as being a very important occasion. Now, Donald Trump, incidentally, of course, has had a state visit, and this goes back to when Queen Elizabeth II was the reigning monarch. But this was back in 2019 when Donald Trump had just finished his first term. Now, of course, what I would say in this particular occasion is that Donald Trump represents a number of things that he is trying to talk to the United Kingdom about. It isn't just about the Israeli and Gaza situation. There's lots of things about Ukraine. There's lots of things about business. There's lots of things about Europe, let alone what he would like to do with the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom would like to do with the United States on a trade level. Yeah. So to me, I think it's a bit of a misstep. He got a bit of coverage, so I will give him one piece of credit, in the sense that by doing this, he did get a bit of media exposure. Yeah. The problem is, I think most people are putting this in context and saying, actually, that was a mistake.
Yes. Well, it is. So, yeah. I mean, this sort of behavior, just not thinking things through, and
yes,
and grandstanding is the term that's often used to say this. He picks on an issue which he can't affect, but if he wants to take one side of it, which he knows is popular at the moment, and say, I'm on that side, and that's why taking that stand, he thinks, I guess, will make it more popular. Whereas what we have in Donald Trump is, he may not like him, but Donald Trump, as we've commented on this show before, has been very effective in international affairs. In fact, that's perhaps been his biggest success so far. International affairs have been where he's been at his best, possibly because of his ability to cut through all the usual diplomatic niceties and just speak to people, have conversations with people as if they're actual human beings, which includes, telling them some uncomfortable truth as well. And I think that now he's in a position, with a lot of support in his own country, he's able to make changes in the order of things, the power balances in the world, by using his muscle. Hegemony, if it's often called, the overweening influence of a big country. But that can be used for good, and Trump is doing that. So not only is it a bad idea to just upset Donald Trump and by extension the United States, Donald Trump is right on the particular issue he's talking about. And so he's not only been pompous, he's also been wrong, which is possibly more serious. And in fact, you could see, though, it's not just Ed Davey, you see a series of these sort of jumping onto issues and virtue signalling by members even in the government. By Keir Starmer, he does the same sort of thing, and then he will say, I'm going to stop all the boats with illegal immigrants coming, and then more people than ever come the next week. Here's a Bible verse for you. This is Proverbs 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And it may be we're going into a time of mourning now. They're wickedly stupid, some of the politicians, and that was a very silly thing to do. It doesn't need to be like that, but we do need to start seriously about who we elect. Who do you vote for? And when there are alternatives, as it looks like there will be in the next election, we need to start taking it seriously, voting for someone we wouldn't normally vote for, who is competent, who has intelligence and can understand things going on in the world. If we don't, it's going to be our fault.
Well, indeed. But actually, what's also interesting as well is that there has been some criticism leveraged at Ed Davey from the Conservative shadow Foreign Secretary, which is Dame Priti Patel. And she's criticised his decision, and I think rightly, for being appalling judgment around a visit from our closest ally and security partner. This is an act of deep disrespect for His Majesty the King. Yeah. Now, what's ironic, Sir Ed Davey, do you not think then that you might want to sort of think about the consequence of your judgment? Because it isn't just a reflection on Donald Trump, it's really a snub on the King of England and the King of the United Kingdom. Yes. It doesn't make sense, does it?
No. And so now he's offended the United States of America and Great Britain.
Well done,
done,
sir.
Ed. Well done.
Oh dear. Well, as you can see, there's a sense of anger that seems to be surfacing. And that actually leads us to the next story. It's all the rage. When your mind encounters blind rage and cannot see through the red mist, out of the blue, through a fog of fury, emerges a clenched fist. Yes, now there are many people who are angry about a lot of things. Well, one such individual is Daniil Medvedev. Yes, now you may know as a tennis player, he was recently knocked out of the US Open after a meltdown of anger and fury, sparked initially by the fact that a photographer decided to walk onto the court during a first round defeat by Benjamin Bonzi.
Yes,
now,
great.
the reason for this is that although that actually he had a humbling defeat through this particular tennis match, it was the anger not just at the photographer, but the way that the umpire had decided to replay the entire 2 points. Effectively, when a player has a service game, they have two choices. They can, if they hit the ball first time round over the net, it's clear they can either win or lose the point. But in this particular case, it was the second service. And unfortunately, it didn't go in Medvedev's favor. He was very angry, fist pumping, eyes glaring. Even he managed, ironically, to get the US audience to be on his side. They were angry for him. Now, Mr. Pete, I ask you, there are many reasons for getting angry. We've talked about politicians. Sportsmen often use anger to channel their skills and hone their attentions on their opponent. But maybe I should ask you this broader question. When is it right to be angry and when is it wrong?
Yeah, well, that is a key question, Mr. Mark, because anger in itself is not wrong. Famously in the Bible, as reported in John chapter 2, Jesus drove out the money changers in the temple, and he did that physically with great force. He was very angry. He was angry about injustice. They were charging people to worship, and also they were in the place where the Gentiles, as in the new people, would be allowed to come in. So you were stopping people from getting into the presence of God, so as they saw it in their religion. So he was angry at injustice, and actually that's a good thing to be angry about. So you can get angry. It's important to be angry about certain things, but don't fester in it. In fact, just to give you another Bible verse, this is from the King James Version. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath. That's from Ephesians chapter 4. Well-known verse, that. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. And that's the thing. You can be angry. It's a mistake to hold on to that anger. Say what you've got to say, do what you've got to do, but don't let it ruin you. And so that's what's sinful. That's what's wrong. And of course, only be angry at things that you should be angry about. You've got to be careful. You've got to think about these things, hence the counting to 10 thing that maybe Medvedev should have thought about.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm going to say that it was at a critical point in the match.
Or counting to 40 love. Well, no, that's juice, isn't it? Counting to juice instead of counting to 10. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
The point being is, the main point is that, from Medvedev's point of view, he was innocent. And so, he had done nothing wrong, whereas he was a victim. And through an anomaly of a decision that was decided that actually they replayed the entire point, meaning that his opponent had two serves, he went on to lose the match. Now, of course, what Medvedev said afterwards in a media interview says, I just expressed my emotions, my unhappiness with the decision. And then the crowd did what they did without me asking too much. But the point being is that he can see the funny side of it now. Yes. But what's interesting is that the delay in the match was over 6 minutes. So he just constantly got angrier and angrier not only to himself, but of course to the umpire. Now, I think this is where it comes back to where anger does play. If you are a bit like a tennis match, if you're, sort of parrying the ball of anger back to your opponent, if you are the innocent party and you can prove it, really you are entitled to be angry. If you are
Yes.
doing something that it was against the law, then again, this is so. The irony is that the tennis match is like a sort of a metaphor, isn't it, for justice? I mean, in this particular case, I think he was basically, dare I say, the tennis player was boulder googly, mixing up the metaphors.
To finish on this topic, though, I would say that, look, this is similar to a basic life rule that you can follow. Is one to always go for delayed gratification. So don't always be in control of your passions. In other words, if you're hungry, maybe it's better to wait till mealtime, otherwise you'll get fat, Mark. I'm just not talking to you in particular, obviously. But if you're angry, it's better to channel that anger. Better to control it, because if you are right to be angry, it gives you a way to use that anger to feed your response. Like if you were angry about injustice in a certain area, if you channel it, you'll be able to work at it and put that right. Whereas just thrashing about is not going to achieve anything. If you say, oh no, I was wrong to be angry, then you're able to make a correction. So be in control of your passions, be in control of your anger, and not just Medvedev, but it's just a general, if we can do that, we're going to be able to negotiate peace between countries and between peoples. We're going to be able to put right things that are wrong without everything blowing up. So that's a key life skill, not just for us as individuals, but as societies. If we can just get that locked in, that we get angry about certain things, but we control it.
Yes. Well, certainly if you're a tennis racket manufacturer, you can channel your attentions on Medvedev. He definitely needs a lot more, having smashed up the entire contents of his tennis bag, as many people would have seen. Anyway, we move on. And this is a completely different story, but maybe we're on the incline. If you have poor posture and you're inclined to always slump, you could eventually look like Quasimodo and develop a horrible hump. Yes, well, it does seem that we are no longer sitting up straight and being at attention when we are at our computers or slouching in our couches when watching our favourite soap operas. Yes, well, according to Dr Xand van Tulleken, Alexander is his real name, of course, and as we know, the doctor, who is a well-known British doctor and TV presenter, has really explained that as we, as a nation, are getting more and more slovenly, our posture is having effect on our well-being, for not just our physical well-being, but also our mental well-being. Mr. Pete, you're sitting there slouching away on this podcast. It's time to sit up straight. Now, is he really right? Are we really that bad at being able to just conduct ourselves in a better way?
Yes, I think there is. My personal experience is that being able to sit up straight and stand up straight makes a big difference to your entire health. You just feel better if you stand up straight. You can breathe better. You stop getting strains in the wrong places in your body, and your shoulders can then be freed up so you don't get so tense. So I found this because I found myself getting shorter and shorter. In fact, even with the corrections that I've made, I've followed advice from online physiotherapists. Some people will know the YouTube channel Bob and Brad. Bob sadly died recently, quite a big YouTube channel. They give good advice on such things. So I won't attempt to do that here, but just adjusting the way that you stand, certain exercises can help you to stand straighter and to adjust the way that your neck is aligned with your spine. It can make a huge difference in sitting and in standing correctly, such that you just feel better. This has been there's two main things that I in terms of physical health, I think it's good to remember. One is drink. There's the phrase "drink more water with it." It refers to not having your whiskey too strong, but I think just with life, if you sip water throughout the day, it's better. And stand and sit up straight is another one. It just makes all the difference in the world. I was about to say I've gone down from 5'9" to 5'8" in height already. So if I was slouching, just imagine I'd probably be as short as Warwick Davis or something.
Yes, all the diminishing Ed Davey, who's
yes, that's another story.
who's getting smaller by the moment in his recognition. But no, I mean, basically, posture is dynamic, not static. The worst thing you can do is to stay locked in one position for hours.
Yes.
Whether it's been perched on a desk, lounging on the sofa, or scrolling on your phone.
That's also
now,
true.
Dr.
Moving
Xand
is important.
has said that basically the key is to change it up. There are lots of posture corrections that you can use. There are basically equipment, clearly, obviously, a chair, the right type of chair, back braces, and many other things. In fact, if you work for a particular company, certain size companies, the HR department should have a well-being person who should be able to actually look at your working environment as whether you're actually positioned at your chair and table and laptop in the correct way. But at the end of the day, there are many things that you need to do. So what he has said is that you can have the best chair. If you spend 8 hours sitting in it, still have back pain because you might not necessarily be positioned correctly. Now, some people might think, well, this is a bit of a silly nonsense. Does it really matter? Well, apparently it does. More and more people are slumping at their desks, meaning that they get headaches, or to your point, they're not drinking enough water, or maybe, worse still, they're not getting enough exercise. Now, contrary to some people's thinking, this might be a more of a traditional way of looking at things. At one time in Britain, it was considered that your perfect posture was about balancing a book on your head. Now, I know you might think that this is rather amusing, but it actually was true. At one time, people were told how to sort of give graceful gliding walks, whether they be men or women, by simply balancing a book on your head. But it's a lot more than that. I mean, I will say that if you are at any time getting neck pain or headaches or even backache, you possibly need to talk to your doctor, but more importantly is talk to your employer, because it may be that what has happened, whether you're working in an office or whether you're working at home, you've probably got the wrong setup. And the thing here is, to your point, as Mr. Peters just highlighted, it can damage you and it's irreversible. So I think what we're saying here is, get some advice. Don't worry about asking your doctor or even your employer.
Don't wait until you've lost an inch in height. That's why.
Yes, correct. Otherwise, you may diminish and disappear. But no, seriously, it is a good thing. And here's my guidance as well, because I've gone through many of these type of courses, as I'm sure you've seen over the years. They always say that you should spend time to have a break. Go out, have a walk around in your local community or your local park, or spend some time, if you do have enough space, to do some aerobic exercises. But definitely eat well, sleep well, and drink well, meaning water. Because the problem is that we're all being asked to do more with less and doing more time at work. And if you're just sitting at a desk all day, that's not good for both your body and mind.
Yes, well, I guess we'll be there. That's it for this week from Mark and myself. But remember, we'd like your opinions on all that we've talked about. So make sure you subscribe. Go to markandpete.com. Make sure that you've subscribed, and then you can leave a comment on this. And in fact, every episode, we always love to hear from you. And we do occasional episodes where we include your comments, because it's just free material, isn't it? So send it in to us. That's it for this week. But we've had an interesting episode. We've had some pompous politicians, always good for a laugh. We've had a stroppy tennis player with anger management issues, and we've had the posture police who are actually giving us some good advice. So remember, as you go from this place, to keep your chin up and your shoulders back. Until next time, catch you then.